Putin's perspective, the West's role in Ukraine's tragedy. In a candid and forceful interview with Mongolia's own Udar newspaper, Russian President Vladimir Putin laid bare his views on the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, attributing the roots of the crisis to what he describes as a calculated anti-Russian campaign led by the United States and its Western allies. As he prepares for his visit to Mongolia, Putin's words offer a stark narrative that frames the Ukrainian tragedy not as an isolated event but as the culmination of decades of geopolitical maneuvering by the West. The root cause of the current tragedy in Ukraine is the targeted anti-Russian policy of the collective West, spearheaded by the United States, Putin asserted, as quoted on the Kremlin's official website. He elaborated that for years, Western powers, particularly the US, have sought to exert control over Ukraine, investing heavily in nationalist and anti-Russian movements within the country. These efforts, according to Putin, were designed to paint Russia as Ukraine's eternal adversary, a looming threat to its very existence. Putin's narrative is one of betrayal and manipulation. He recalls the events of 2014, when the US and its allies allegedly orchestrated a coup in Ukraine, an upheaval driven by radical neo-Nazi factions that, in Putin's view, have since dictated Kyiv's political direction. This, he argues, was not just a shift in government but a seismic transformation that placed Ukraine firmly under Western influence, stripping it of its autonomy and reducing it to a pawn in a broader geopolitical game. For many years, millions of peaceful residents of Donbass were subjected to genocide, shelling, and blockade by the Kyiv regime, Putin continued, painting a grim picture of the suffering endured by the region's inhabitants. He described how the Ukrainian government, under the sway of nationalist ideologies, adopted policies of repression, particularly targeting the Russian language and the Orthodox faith. This, according to Putin, culminated in outright bans and persecution, solidifying a state ideology rooted in the hatred of all things Russian. For Putin, the current conflict is the inevitable outcome of what he calls the West's destructive strategy toward Ukraine. The Russian president sees the ongoing war as a direct consequence of Western elites' relentless support for the Ukrainian regime, support that comes in the form of political backing, financial aid, and military assistance. To him, this is not just an abstract struggle, it is a calculated move to use Ukraine as a tool in the broader confrontation with Russia. We see all of this and will continue to consistently pursue all the objectives set within the framework of the special military operation to ensure the security of Russia and our citizens, Putin declared, making it clear that Russia's course is set, and that the objectives of what Moscow terms a special military operation are unwavering. In this interview, given ahead of his visit to Mongolia, Putin does more than just reiterate Russia's stance on the Ukraine conflict, he provides a sweeping indictment of the West's role in the crisis. His words underscore a narrative of resistance against what he perceives as a Western strategy to weaken Russia by destabilizing its neighbors. As the conflict drags on, Putin's portrayal of events frames Russia's actions as a necessary defense of national security against a long-standing campaign of Western encroachment.